Hello, 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 guys. Hope everybody is doing well.
Oh my gosh, and who do we have first in the house? Who? Let me see. Was it John and Jen? Who was first? Yes.
It was, I think.
It was John and Jen.
And then Tori, and then Robbie, and then
Yes.
KK, and Emma.
Emma and
Catchmany 95.
Awesome Sauce.
Great to see you. Israel in the house. Good to see you, Israel. Christine, always a pleasure. And Jason down there in Oz. Awesome to see you guys. Technologically savvy.
Yes, we need some of that technologically savvy stuff around here.
Yeah, you would be handy. Rosalie Eduardo. Heather Marie. Heather Marie, you are by Barksdale, and we are going to talk about Barksdale. You're 10 miles from Barksdale. We used to be about 20. Yeah, it's crazy times.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary out there. Things are certainly going in an odd direction.
Welcome, Karen. Good to see you. Yeah, it's just pretty wild out there. We're busy today. We did do a Patreon and members exclusive. We did 3 videos, and then we worked on the chicken coop and things out in the yard. It's just trying to tie so many things together. I know you guys understand how it is.
Yeah, we're a little bit busy, but you know what? If we weren't busy, we'd just probably get in trouble.
5 months already. 5 months for Emma already.
Oh my gosh, I need some updated pictures, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
From both of you, Emma and Tori.
Oh, there's some amazing things going on that are positive, even though the news is the news is dominated by the negative. Peace sells, but nobody's buying the peace, right? Here you go. You can see the KP was up at around 6, so we did go into a G3 level storm. I feel the solar energy, but I was out in the sun a lot of the day too. Have you guys noticed? Because I noticed I got a lot of ear ringing, especially in my left ear. But when I go outside, I don't have any ear ringing. So it's got to be around the technology.
And thank you so much, Robbie. We appreciate that a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Robbie. Robbie was doing, I got to remember, I've been running around with my head cut off. I forgot if you were doing a Discord or something. I know you were putting together some sort of group. I just haven't had time to really look at too much, but keep abreast of things like this. And when you see Barksdale Air Force Base targeted by coordinated waves of advanced drones over several days, flying for hours over sensitive areas, including zones housing B-52 Stratofortress bombers, raising concerns of a possible foreign surveillance or defensive probe. No confirmed interceptions and no actors indicated, but we understand there's a lot of sleeper cells that have just been waiting. They've been waiting just to be told when to go active. And what will it look like when they go active? I think it'll be different things in different places. Some of it may just simply be surveillance. Some of it could be disrupting things again, food, fuel, energy. You could see things like sabotage to everything from infrastructure to even like water supplies that, God forbid, again. But you just have to be aware that, these type of things can definitely happen in this time when we're deep at war. Barksdale Air Force Base, if you don't know, is right here. So where are we there? We're in the greater Texarkana area. You could say, it's the northwest corner of Louisiana, and it's right by Shreveport and Bossier. And we know the area very well, as we did live in this area for a few years. And we do have a lot of family members in this area, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's very, very, very curious.
Yeah, you have Longview and Marshall just on the other side of the border there. I would notice when we would go grocery shopping, this is where I would see B-52s all the time up in the air. In fact, just what we were showing you on that first one, that's what we would see. It was just a normal situation to see the fighters and these making their rounds. Obviously, these are, again, nuclear capable. So, and that, again, depends on if you believe nukes are real. Got to always throw that in there. Because somebody will say, nukes are not real and the earth is flat. But again, it's always about perspective.
Indeed.
So, yeah, this is a little disconcerting. Over 7-day period, repeated drone activity. The base operates 1,300 plus strategic bombers annually. The incident did trigger security protocols. Sustained drone penetration, waves of 12 to 15 drones operating over sensitive areas. Again, are any of these drones capable of inflicting any type of weapons or interfering? Or could they be things that would, jam radar, jam interference, maybe EMP? There's just so many different things that could happen. When we're talking the times that we're in now, it's just we're on a different plane, and anything could really happen because the world again is heading deeper into this conflict.
Yeah, things are just really going at a very, very, very fast pace, and every day it's like, we do a video and hit refresh, and it's like something else major is happening, and really seems like things are just on fire. Like everything is on fire. The one good thing I do see is I see that there's a lot of quantum technology, healing technology coming out that's finally, being allowed to be seen. And that's really important, because when you're looking at that technology, it cures and it heals at the source, and it helps you just heal from the inside out instead of the outside in.
I just saw that comment from Emma saying the coop is for the chickens, Mike. Well, yeah, I like hanging out in that area. It's nice. There's a nice tree there, good shade. Lucid Farm says you guys should try to incubate some eggs. We have about 20 going right now, I think.
Yeah, I think we have a bunch. We have some goose eggs, so we're hopeful.
I would think that we will get chickens. They seem to be doing well. There's a couple of goose and a couple of ducks. I'm not sure how that's going. But we do have a lot of people in our area, too, that do have them. And, of course, you want to check out and see where they got them from and what's been done to them, because you want them to be clean, so to speak. And no nanu, no black goo.
No, and yeah, silver is doing some interesting stuff. I think all of that is, just personally, I don't know anything about the markets, but when I look at it, that feels like it's an artificial suppression, and they're just trying to hold it down as hard as they can, so we'll go. I think it's going to get up there eventually.
Yeah, when I think about it, it would be a good idea in my mind, it's a good idea to buy silver right now at $69. That was part of what I want to cover a little bit later. I was just wondering, where's the money going? Because it seems to be just disappearing. I think, again, tangible goods. You got to make sure at this point in time that you have all the tangible goods that you need. Last month, I did go over budget, just kind of restocking some things, thinking about what would really stink to be out of if all of a sudden supply chains are really disrupted. And so I got like extra spices and herbs and teas and things that we do all the time. And we're always trying to think, of having 6 months to a year, really, of the stuff that lasts around, because this is going to take a while. I hope that we could get through this time period a lot quicker, but I really do think it feels like this is probably going to be Bumpy road for a few years. Hopefully not that long. Hopefully things turn around quicker.
Well, to me, it looks like they've really already set us up for, if they can't herd you into a 15-minute city, they're going to bring the city to you. So maybe make gas so high you can't go anywhere. And they already have the drones ready to deliver in your front yard. They have that technology going, and they're working on, the carbon footprint thing. So it's a slow turnover, but I really think that they're hitting the gas pedal when it comes to dissolving the current system that we have.
Yeah. Again, it's always about trying to get us on board with their programs. That's what they're going to be doing. Cindy had done a video before showing her making colloidal silver. So we do have that ability. We do have even multiple what do you call those? The really good water ones that we just got. Yeah. Reverse osmosis. Yeah, so we have backup to backup on all the basics, because as long as you could cover the basics, you should be okay in the worst case scenario. And this is the thing, we really haven't had much happen to us when you look at our area, and I mean us here in the United States, or even if you're in Canada, or even really UK or Australia. These wars have always been over there. They've been in Afghanistan, in Iraq, Iran now, Israel's been in the middle of things, obviously. Now it's coming to the point where that there's definitely sleeper cells in all of the NATO countries. And they are going to be turning them on unless we could, again, have an outbreak of peace, unless there's like a total change of heart, or people come to their right minds, shred off their attachments and stop letting themselves get manipulated by these dark entities, which, again, I wouldn't hold my breath, but we put out the hope.
Always put out the hope. Always, always, always.
Yeah. So, again, Barksdale, that's a big one. If you're near a major military base, you got to recognize that is going to be a target, a relatively big target in war. Here, we're looking at strikes again on Tel Aviv, for instance, which is the largest city in Israel, that are just enormous. Again, there's parts of Tel Aviv that are starting to really represent, they look just like the Gaza Strip. Somebody has really underestimated the reprisal for this attack, because Israel is getting pounded. There's many sources. This one saying Iran is currently razing Israel to the ground. Most violent missile attack in recent days. Again, you'll have some people posting and showing, there's only 16 missiles today, and there was 100 a few days ago. There's going to be just like disinformation everywhere. So it's sorting through it all. Again, we're praying for peace, because the average person in this world does not want to live through this. None of us want to live through this stuff.
Mm-mm. No, I mean, this is a mess. It's so unfair what's going on. Everything is just the little people suffer.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. Again, it's not, the kings and queens don't usually get their hands dirty, if you know what I mean. But the average person, it's no different than in feudal days, when they would just simply come by. They'd make their rounds, and, that young lad looks to be, 13, 14. He could come off to war. They did this all throughout our whole dark age. In fact, as you look at Tel Aviv here, just massive explosions. We're in an astrological alignment there is an astrological alignment that we haven't seen in like 6,700 years. In the bigger scheme of things, we were listening to this one Western astrologer talking about it. And it's like amazing when you really think about it, because the the coincidence, and of course it's not a coincidence, that we're in the same sort of astrological alignment right now that led to the rise of the Sumerian city-states, which again, when you talk about the Fertile Crescent and you talk about, ancient Sumer, Acadia, Babylon, all that, we're really talking, in my mind, about the rise of the system, the dark control matrix, that took over the planet coming into full effect. And now, hopefully, this time it's going to signal that it's going bye-bye. And I do think that's the case.
I think it's a good idea to, connect with people. And Rosemary, I don't know, many of you, if you followed us long enough, she's a very wonderful naturopath, and she does have a Facebook page for her Aussie brother and sister. So Off Grid Naturopath Australia on Facebook. So hopefully you can find that. I don't have a link to it, but she's full of very good information, and she's just been a blessing to us all.
Yeah, and I just saw somebody mention there. Hi, Susan. Good to see you over there in San Fran. Canadian user, the 86th Chuck Norris. He was 86. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be any e-files that come out about Chuck Norris, but I think it was the movie he did where he, was it Enter the Ninja? I think maybe something like that. It had to do with ninjas. And it came out when I was 11, almost 12. I was just about to have my 12th birthday. And I was actually living about 2.5 miles away from the nearest movie theater, but I walked to it and then walked back at night to go see the Chuck Norris movie. I was so into it. And I had a paper route, and I had saved up money, and then my mom was okay with it. I said, do you mind if I go and join up at a karate class? Because Chuck Norris got me so motivated to start learning martial arts. And at that time, I was being picked on all the time by a group of kids that would come circle me and just, all of them, punch and kick you and that type of thing. Throw your books away. Take your book bag and just harass you. So yeah, I did, and that was for my 12th birthday. I ended up buying a weight set with my paper money, and then also signing up for karate classes at Master Che Ree's. It was Tang Soon Do and Muda Kwan. So it was similar styles to Chuck Norris. And, again, just, a very influential people for anybody that's into the martial arts.
Indeed. I think he's inspired a lot of people.
Oh, I remember the Octagon. Yeah, the Octagon. Yeah, that was after that. That might have been like the pinnacle of the good old days there, Sin Havoc. Yeah, absolutely. So, I do remember Chuck Norris, and send him peace. I hope he's at peace on the other side now. This is an Iranian ballistic missile fragment hitting the old city of Jerusalem, falling 400 yards from the Western Wall and the Al-Aqsa mosque. When you look at it, this is really like one of the high holy places of Christianity, Judaism, and Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. So this is big. I mean, massive deal. If these get razed to the ground, and there's been so many people that have made the statement that the Al-Aqsa mosque will have to be razed in order for them to bring back the third temple, to recreate a third temple and start to do the sacrifices again. And I think that the Polish psychic was picking up on that, because when he was doing his thing and he was talking about all the chaos over there, and he was talking about a coming false Messiah, and he did say something like, these people like their blood. I think he was seeing the sacrifices and doing the animal sacrifices again. I think the time after this war is going to be mind-boggling, because we're going to be talking about ETs amongst us. we're going to be talking about a portion of the real history that we've never heard of, that they will let us know. They'll be letting you know that humans work with non-humans and go off planet to other places. I mean, the world is going to change so much on the other side of this war. It isn't even going to look the same at all.
Mm-mm. No, I think this is it. We made a really cheesy thumbnail about the end of an era the other day. It was great. It was fun with our faces all, oh my gosh, like that. But I really think it is the end of an era. I think we're stepping into a place where, we may need to be working together. It may be more community based, helping each other in that way, helping those that help others in however we can. Just putting it out there that we're going to need each other, to a certain degree. And sometimes that might be hard, but we're going to have to get through it. I think we have to have that single-mindedness, like, what is it that is more important? If you have people arguing or fussing, you have to step back and say, well, what is more important? And what's more important is that we help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And our statistician there, Robbie, is reminding us that, it's 321 is tomorrow. 321. 322 is Skull and Bones Day. That's in 2 days. I would not be surprised if you see something very symbolic on 322 Day. I mean, that could be a huge day. Absolutely. There would be something planned on that day in some way, shape, or form. I would actually expect it. There's been some interesting 322 days.
A lot. Yes.
Yeah. And, very interesting stuff, to say the least. So, Rabbi warns of danger to Jerusalem's religious sites. The Temple Mount, known to Muslims as Al-Haram al-Sharif, is home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. The nearby Western Wall is Judaism's holiest prayer site. We've seen almost every Western leader there kissing that wall. While the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is revered by Christians as the site of Jesus' crucifix and burial, these are all right there. And, of course, you have the rabbis saying holy places should not be targeted in war. Man, they destroyed so many holy places and relics. Islam did. When Islam was spreading and taking over a lot of the Hindu sites, they were wiping out everything. And the same thing with the Buddhist sites. They were wiping out so many holy sites. And actually, the Christian church did the same thing to the pagan sites, and took a lot of them over to end up becoming sites for new churches. This is what unfortunately, these religions have done, one to another, time after time.
Yeah, it just keeps going on and on and on, and things need to change.
Yeah, I personally don't think, I would say I don't think we'll have any religion within 10 years. I think that's a safe statement. I think there might be certain rituals that people do as a manner of comfort and habit, and, something that you do, it's personal to you. We put out offerings every day, and it's usually strawberries and apples and blueberries, things like that. I guess you could say that's a religious type of thing that we do. But as far as organized, dogmatic religion done by rote, I just don't even think it'll be existing in 10 years. That's just my opinion.
I feel we have a practice, and it keeps us grounded and rooted, and it's something that works for us, and we believe, and we, appreciate the elementals and our guides and our angels helping us to a very high degree whenever they do. And, even if you want to set a plate for a loved one once a year, just, set a plate for them, or even put out a little bit of fruit for them. They can utilize that in the ether, to be closer to you. It's not like they need food like we do. They can work off of those scents. They can work off of just that little bit of different ether. And different foods mean different things. We like to use fruit. So that's just our go-to.
Yeah, and this is something that when Cindy and I got together, got rekindled. It was actually something I used to do way back in my 20s, um, when I had gotten out totally of kind of the Western mindset and was exploring more pagan type of roots, nature, type of things, and also exploring Hinduism. And it's stuck with me, and it's been something that feels good and comfortable to us. And the devas actually, what we got in channeling is like when you do that, they take the life force, they bless it, amplify it, and they send it back to you. So this is the thing. It's kind of like saying I trust and I want to work with benevolent beings. It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm. And it just brings a air of peace to the home.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is I guess to be expected, because if they are going to end up rebuilding a third temple, like people have said, you can't really put it right on that site that and redo things as they were, because you have the Al-Aqsa Mosque right there in the Dome of the Rock. So that would have to be removed, and it could be removed in this war through any sort of stray missile or intentional missile. So again, there are those forces that are trying very, very hard. I'm going to get rid of some of these tabs, to manufacture, make sure that these prophecies come to pass. This is a big part of the picture, because it's really about using our intent, because we think things are supposed to happen if we believe a certain thing. Then we're actually literally helping to manifest it and bring it about.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And sorry about the little dings there. It's on Facebook. I wanted to show you something from Facebook, but we're going to get to that and when we shift gears. So here you go. Israel refuses to open the mosque for end of Ramadan service. No Muslims will be allowed to enter the holy site for one of the main Islamic holidays for the first time since 1967. Do you think that could be a problem? Do you think that could add to the other video that I know we hit on things way too close to comfort for the system when we were talking about the Nostradamus prophecies and this Islamic invasion, this jihad that's to happen? If the prophecies are right, some of those prophecies literally give you the month, and they mention the month of April as being when the great Islamic jihad begins. Well, we're 11 days. We got 11 days left in March, and then we're going to be in April. Can we see how this is going? Yeah, you kind of could. I mean, it might not happen. And maybe that's another year off and everything, goes longer than anticipated. That we've seen time and time again. Things get delayed when it looks like, okay, this is it.
I know they get delayed. This seems like a really huge ramp up.
But to tell Muslims that they can't go and do what the tradition is, yeah, that's a problem. That's definitely going to inflame people even more. Of course, missiles are flying both directions. Lots of people are dying, unfortunately. Again, we're praying for peace. We love to say Loka Samasta Sukhi no Bhavantu, which is the prayer that all beings be at peace and be happy. And free. This is the thing. Humanity has not been free. And it'll be a beautiful thing when humans are finally free and free of the manipulation. Because this whole thing, this whole situation, why did this come to pass? It wasn't what everybody wanted. No, in fact, the vast majority of people saw no need for this to happen. And it still happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the end, definitely the end of an era. We have that Saturn and Neptune crossing each other, and that's big.
It is very big, yes. And, it'll be a wonderful thing to see, the system and the division and the nonstop wars be a thing in the past, and we can move forward into a new era. 3 nuclear war command control planes airborne over the U.S. This was a little bit earlier today. While the U.S. refueler conducts refueling missions near CFB Cold Lake, home of Canadian NORAD F-18 interceptors. Is there a threat? Well, I'm sure there's a threat. Obviously, we were just talking about Barksdale in northwestern Louisiana being buzzed by drones multiple times. So yeah, there's definitely threats. It's only going to increase the longer that this conflict goes on. Trump administration making heavy preparations for potential use of ground troops in Iran. This is from CBS News. This is mainstream. Pentagon officials made a detailed preparation for deploying U.S. ground forces into Iran. Multiple sources briefed on the discussions told CBS News. There has also been videos coming out of Iran showing vast numbers of people ready to fight to the end. And also the fact that they've set up a lot of sabotage, a lot of surprises. It would not be an easy conquest at all. It wouldn't be anything like Iraq. Iran has much tougher topography. It is a bigger country, a bigger nation, and they've been waiting for this for a long time because they've always felt that this was coming. I know they've been making preparations, and they also have a lot of support in China and in Russia, but not just there. Also nations like Pakistan, nations like North Korea, many others that are aligned again with the BRICS nations. So sending in ground troops and trying to take control, that to me sounds like it would just be a meat grinder. It sounds like it would be an insane idea. But again, would they do it? Yeah, they probably would, obviously.
I think so.
So Saudi Arabia sees a spike to $180 a barrel if energy shock persists past April. Prices at that level could trigger a recession or depression because it's going to be prohibitive to do hardly anything. You would definitely be talking well past $10 a gallon in California. And in fact, in Texas, Louisiana, we're probably going to be looking at typical high California prices in our areas too. So this would be just another hardship on the average person. And then you actually have the possibility that entire countries may end up running out of oil if this keeps going on. What if this does end up lasting like the Polish psychic saw? He saw this lasting until mid-2028. And when he was looking at the world in the middle of like summer 2028, it was at a pause. It was like nobody moved from the lines where they were at that point in time. It wasn't like the war was over, but it was like it was a big mess. Tons of damage had been done, and things were just kind of stalled. Again, as we get more info, and we'll always share it with you guys. Last night, I had the weirdest vision of seeing a tick on a dog, taking the tick out, and then the tick multiplied into multiple, honestly, they look like nanobots. And I went to squish it, and they just squished like liquid, but then would reassemble. I feel this was some sort of message from the guides. I've noticed a few times we've taken ticks off, and they don't crunch hard. They smush really easy, which ticks don't usually do that. I've also noticed with ticks that a lot of times when you squish them, they give off a black liquid that to me looks like graphene oxide. It doesn't feel like blood.
Yeah, I see you guys putting your prices in there from where you're at. It's unfortunately, it might get a little bit painful, but definitely hang in there. Hang in there and just keep the positive attitude and keep, pulling together in the lives, and we will just set the intentions for a better outcome, and we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. Zero animosity or fear of anybody. Everybody is being manipulated on each side. As we've said before, you'll find really, truly saints in every tradition. People that are just wonderful people and devout to their religion, but they just don't understand the true origins of where it came from. And their goodness helps them to just rise above and stay out of all that. So there's always, good people everywhere. And I really do think the majority of people really have a good heart and they have good intentions. I don't think it's the minority that think that way. I think it's the minority that manipulate and create these situations. So, can you imagine entire countries running out of oil? That is going to be a serious problem. Then you have this statement. Trump says, I think we won. As Iran refuses Hormuz talks, the Houthis threaten Red Sea Strait. So you got CVS saying, again, heavy preparations for ground troops. The statement, no ceasefire for now, but at the same time, Trump's calling NATO a paper tiger and saying that we're almost done and we've almost met all our objectives. Would that be a way of backing out of the conflict, which is really not going well? I don't think this is going well. I don't know how anybody could think this is going well.
Well, it depends on the agenda. I think the agenda is to tear everything down.
Yeah, if you're just talking about causing the most hardship for everybody, yeah, then that in that case, yeah, that statement would make sense. But you have major, major damage that's going to take years. Haifa refinery hit. Qatar, the liquid natural gas output cut 17%. Kuwaiti facilities ablaze. They're literally talking that to repair things right now at this point, just right now, is going to take years. Years. Trump administration weighing seizing Karg Island. That does feel that would be the target. That might be where they land Marines, honestly, trying to take that island, which is right near the mainland. That's like trying to take Long Island, right? It's like, wow, you're, I don't know. I think it's just, I don't see how anybody could think going into this was the right thing to do or a good idea. Unless you truly want to just wipe everything out in order to bring a new system to pass, which is something that CONS piracy theorists have been saying for years.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think. It depends on what they're trying to accomplish, and I think they are trying to accomplish bringing in a new system. In that case, they're doing well.
Yeah, so saying we're getting very close to meeting our objectives, this is his statement, as we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East with respect to the terrorist regime of Iran. Many people have pointed out, too, that Iran hasn't really directly attacked anybody. The U.S. has done this time and time and time again. This is just obvious what's been going on from that standpoint. Israel's been doing it time and time and time again, too. So I do think that part of what's happening is to awaken inside the U.S. and inside maybe some of the NATO countries the realization that maybe, our side is not in the good, is not really doing the right thing, so that when bigger change comes later, people will accept it more. Do you follow where I'm going with that?
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
You do? Okay. Well, I'm glad you do. So Qatar is dethroned now as the liquid natural gas king. As the U.S. seizes the throne, reshaping the future of gas, well, this is another way to ensure that you have a commodity that maybe other people don't. So, again, you can't put it past somebody to literally understand that even though it might be a country that's aligned with you as an ally, if they happen to lose their ability to produce something that produces a ton of money for them, and you have the same thing, and know that you'll start to get customers that they might have, you get the drift. So, this could be part of it too. And here you go. It's going to take 3 to 5 years for Qatar to get their production back. 3 to 5 years. The Polish psychic has been saying that they're going to be telling people 7 to 8 years to get back to the same old standard of living we had before this war started, because there's going to be so much economic damage done. So is Netanyahu alive or dead? Well, there's been multiple videos coming out. Some people have said that this is like a memorial that was done. I've seen reports that he died actually in Germany, that they airlifted him to Germany for the very best in care that was possible, but he died in Germany. As well as others saying, no, he's here. He's making videos left and right. Are they him, or is this just AI? There's a lot of signs that every single thing we've seen is nothing but AI. And then why would you do AI and kind of antagonize people, especially of maybe a Christian persuasion? Like this statement here, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan, because if you're strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Oh.
Why would you even say that?
Yeah, but truly, that's a very draconian way of looking at things. I don't see how you couldn't see it as anything but. That's kind of exactly what we are really looking at with the whole system that's in place. Okay, so gold is trading at $45.87 an ounce, down 1.3% over the last 24 hours. Silver is down to $69.83 an ounce. That's 3.94% drop in 24 hours. I would say, in this environment, I think, I think it's a good bet, because I don't think the fiat currencies are ever safe. And especially whoever it is that comes out on the losing side of this war. Of course, there's really no winners in war. Chances are that economically their system is going to collapse. That's just part of it. By the way, $1 trillion wiped out from the U.S. stock market today. So wait a minute. So silver and gold are down. The stock market is down. How about crypto? Yeah, it doesn't look very good. You got Bitcoin sitting there at 70,000, Ethereum 2,100. These were almost twice what they are now. XRP $1.44. It was. No, where's the money? It's not in crypto. It's not in gold. It's not in silver. It's not in stocks. Where's the money? That's a curious question.
I know, and we have a Janie sighting in the room, and she says, I think I'm feeling your dream, Mike, coming to pass this summer, the one of the drones off of Cali. Well, it could very well be. I mean, we have them here real close to us.
Which one was this?
Right here. Where'd she go? She's in there. Let's see.
Oh, okay. There you go. Jane. Okay.
Yay. There she is.
Yeah. I've had some really interesting visions lately. The one of the tick turning into like nanotech graphene oxide and then multiplying. I think this is definitely something that I'm sure a lot of you guys have had in mind. We understand that the ticks and Lyme, that's just biowarfare. It is. It's biowarfare. And it's really being waged on all of the average people, all of us. I've been bitten hundreds of times, hundreds, and have had full-blown Lymes. And, literally, recently, last year, I do believe that was what triggered the appendicitis that I had. So yeah, I do think, again, graphene oxide and nanotech, it's being used against us, in my opinion. That truly is my opinion. And I think, again, that was kind of a message from the guides. There are things to do to help get rid of it. Again, borax is very, very powerful. We could always fast. Definitely view everything as parasitic and go on an anti-parasitic program. We do all sorts of things that we share with you guys, from putting wormwood in water. There's cloves, there's garlic, fresh garlic. Just cut up a clove of garlic, let it sit out for a few minutes, and then eat that raw. Might not be as pleasurable as, in butter sauteed, but it's very potent, and all these things are going to help to detox.
Mm-hmm. They are. I think that dream was very significant in the sense that, someone had a tick on their dog, and Mike was pointing it out, and he's like, well, why don't you take it off? And that person says, because I don't know how to stop it. Well, ultimately, to me, the dream turned out to be like Mike can see something, and the other person doesn't want to look at it, but he does do the thing, and he pulls it out, and he starts to tackle it. And that's just not an easy job. So some people just don't want to see things. They just don't. They don't want to, and they can't, and they're not in an emotional state to do so. They have to take breaks from the news. Absolutely. And if that's what your heart and soul needs, then you take a break, and then others will carry on as we carry on. But there's a natural ebb and flow to how the community, we help each other, and just listen to your heart and do the things, and help wherever you can, when you can. But ultimately, when it's time to take care of you, then you do that.
Robbie with his insights. Robert Patrick played the T-1000 in Terminator, the one that could kind of turn into molten metal and then reform itself. Patrick. That's an interesting insight there. Did you guys see the new movie about AI and the dude time traveling? I'm not sure what's the name of the movie. There's been so many that have come out that have spilled like everything. Tons of them. Meanwhile, Democrats have tanked the funding bill to reopen TSA and DHS, intentionally making the American people suffer while they continue skipping the line and not waiting to be checked in. 16 senators could not even been bothered to show up to vote. Yeah, absolutely. You only got maybe 50 people that would be worth keeping in all of Congress, if that. The rest all need to go. And, I think we should just have a new system, honestly. The entirety of the system is flawed beyond repair. So, does she have an itchy wrist? Was she hiding a dagger up her sleeve? Or was she trying to give some sort of secret hand sign, to President Trump or somebody else out there? I did a video that's on members from like about 2 weeks ago. This was more of a remote viewing thing. And I saw what I interpreted it to be that somebody took out 47, which obviously it wouldn't be far-fetched to see that happen in this time. We've already had an attempt or 2 attempts on him. And it was interesting, though, because it was more of that revolver-style pistol, the round barrel that was smoking. And timeline, too. I think the world's going to be a different place even come, like, July. The period between April and June, to me, feels to be very, very turbulent, full of just about anything that you can imagine. And when we get away from the warp side of things, if we didn't have that going on, we'd all be talking about the E-files. We'd all be talking just about how bad these dark satanic people truly are. And we'd also be talking about extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, inner earth beings, ultra-terrestrials, because there's more sightings now than like ever. And there's all sorts of weird things being seen up in the skies.
Oh gosh, it's getting crazy. There's no denying anymore unless you just want to.
Yeah, you're in complete denial if you don't understand. It's not all blue beam, and things like, okay, well let's go down there and look in Peru at all those giant glyphs that are so big you can't make out what they are from the ground. The only way you could make out what they are is if you're up in the air. So obviously they were signaling somebody up in the air, flying over, giving them messages. The smiley face alien, you got the snake, you got all the monkey, you have all these different things. Why would they do that? Unless there was somebody up in the air. So it wasn't Project Bluebeam up in the air. No, absolutely not. And, while people can... Ooh, there's a little orb going flying by too. Mm-hmm. People could be getting abducted really from secret military programs and not aliens or, inner Earth or ultra-terrestrials. I'm not sure what this is. I really don't know. The military could be abducting people. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be aliens, but at the same time, there's a consistency in the stories. And these stories go back to, the darkest of dark ages. And, the abduction phenomenon, very real. And then you also actually have real leftover things, like people getting stuck with things and sometimes even radiation burns. There's so much that's physical that, again, say that, sure, you could fake AI, you could fake videos, you could, fake different things being recorded, but there's so many other things, tangible, physical things that are, there's just so much of it. Millions of pieces of evidence when you really, really come down to it. So, yeah, we could debunk anyone, say, yeah, that one was AI, what have you. But you could just keep going on and on and on. It's not all AI. A farmer that previously documented crop circles on his land just captured something even stranger. Ball lightning? Whoa! Somebody took off pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. I know, there's just so much going on, and we've had our own personal experiences. So, I mean, for us, it just seems like it just follows us in a lot of ways. But I do believe there is definitely a military component to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, so these type of things are wild, but there's some really odd stuff like this one now. This is reminding me more of the Jersey drones. This looks more like what we saw in the Jersey drones, but, honestly, that doesn't look like a helicopter to me. It almost looks like a DeLorean up there. Is that Jim Lloyd in Back to the Future?
I love those headlights.
Is it a flying DeLorean? I don't know. I mean, that's pretty wild. There's a lot of weird things going on out there. How about this? Now, this is cute because the kids are like kind of giggling and...
What the heck is it? What the?
It's really small.
What the? Where is it coming from?
Where did it go?
It's three.
Right there. See right there?
Oh, look.
These are more like, you could say spirit orbs, elemental beings. A lot of us would look like this out of body.
I think they're playing with the children.
Yeah, this is just, think about this. Think about all our myths and legends and gnomes and sprites and elementals and fairies and kids playing with fairies. That's what kids playing with fairies looks like. This is one way it does look like.
Isn't it cute?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this is the exciting part on coming out the other side. And it almost looks like there's more than one sun in the sky, too. Then you have everything that's come out. There's been so much. Lockheed Martin was about to hand over an alien spacecraft. Yeah, they were going to go pass on control of an alien spacecraft to Bigelow Aerospace. That's the real story. The CIA intervened to stop that from happening. A senior Lockheed executive called Russ Coulthart out of the blue gave him an implicit acknowledgement. They're holding alien technology. It's not us. It's the agency. This is conspiracy. It's not a theory. It is an actual conspiracy. They're conspiring to keep the truth from the public. There really is a leadership cabal that's actively conniving to deceive the public. Yeah, I mean, this is the reality. This is what it's always been. And here you have Courtney Brown, remote viewers. He has a whole remote viewing team as well. The U.S. government and a group of extraterrestrials who we like to call the reptilians in exchange for tech. They've been working together. Yeah, that's the thing. The realization that we've been working with ETs the whole time. And then the bigger realization is not the good ones. Not the good ones.
Indeed.
But there are good ones out there. So, when you talk about the tall whites and some of the fallen Pleiadians, the Nordics that were also working with Hitler, yeah, absolutely. A lot of our craft is being, the technology is being given to us in one way or another. And we give them, our government gives them in some cases what they want, and in some cases it's us.
I know, and Bob Hawk says I had an encounter with an orb when I was 11 and it changed me. It does. And then suddenly wow, there's a lot more out there when you have an experience like that, and it just shifts your perspective in the 3D world to different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love the kids' reaction to it's just so pure. And the Sin Havoc says they're also souls. Yes, they are. They're just, on what we would call the other side. So they're in 4D, and they can see us, and they can see what's happening. And most of the time when we pass on, we see what's happening around us. We see our loved ones sad and, going through the feelings of loss. But there we are. We're just standing there. We're watching. And then at some point in time, we might decide to go and check out what Auntie Kay is doing. And, when we go check it out, if somebody sees us, it might look just like the orb that the kids saw.
Indeed.
Yeah, because ultimately we are consciousness. We're a consciousness that can't be created or destroyed. It's always been there. So, again, who's your maker? You're your maker. Yeah, the Anunnaki might have tinkered with your vessel, your vehicle for this incarnation, but all they did was kind of sabotage your DNA and change the programming, limiting your ability to perceive other dimensions, in some cases literally dumbing us down, lowering our IQ, lowering our life expectancy. That's the beings that want to take credit for creating us. They didn't create the souls, and their souls can't go where most of ours can. We could go far beyond where they can because they've limited themselves by their choices and their choice of frequency especially.
And we are going to do different.
Is this doggy and kitty gods up in clouds, perched up in the sky, watching all the mortals down below?
After you do the chicken coop, I want that for Sassy and the Dobermans.
Okay, and my sassy one right here is going to give us some dings, and we're going to say Loka Samasta Sugino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my own thoughts, words, acts, and deeds all contribute to their happiness and their freedom. This really is, again, it's my centering point in the morning when I do my mantras in the morning before we start working, because I want to be in the proper state of mind, because obviously the news is going to probably knock me out of that higher frequency a little. So it's coming back to center, it's coming back home, and we will be back home too, and we're going to be leaving this dark system far behind.
And Talisha, we're sending you lots of healing. I'm sorry the kids are sick, and if any babies are cranky out there, we're sending them healing and rest for you mamas too. So here we go. Let's set our intentions for the year. Let's go. You guys are amazing, and thank you so much, Robbie.
Much love, guys. Namaste.